Good morning, Charmaine. Good morning, everyone. I thought we'd just give it a few more minutes. We are supposed to start at 11. I'm sure people have planned themselves around the time. How's everyone doing today? Leave us a message in the chat and say hello. Hi, Nikita. Happy Friday. Hello, Anissa. Morning, Tracy. Great. Anissa says the weather's warmer than yesterday. Oh, that's fantastic. Every day better than the previous day is fantastic. Okay, we're just accepting people as they're requesting to join. Hi from Cape Town. Hello, Renee. Hello, Mohammed, Nikita, Mareki, Tracy, Mandy, Maria, Johan Kutsia. Morning. Morning, Alpesh. Morning, everyone. Let's wait for everybody to join us this morning. While we're waiting for people and while we're waiting for everyone to join us to get started, won't you just while we're waiting, drop down a couple of words of how you're feeling about this whole COVID lockdown, just one or two words that frame your thinking about what you're experiencing at this moment. Hello to everyone, newcomers. We're just saying hello in the morning. We're greeting, dropping down a few words about our experiences at the moment, how we're feeling about the lockdown, how we're feeling about getting back to work, about the whole situation. Okay, we're still accepting people joining us, so we'll give them just a couple more minutes to join us. Hello, Jennifer Frazana. Hello, Mandy Wright. Okay, I just, you hear that noise in the background? That's a bird. That's a very excited bird. He loves joining in on these things. Michelle has left us. Oh, probably crashed. Hello, hello, Mohammed. Thank you for joining us, Mandy. Here we go. She's trying again. Henry Boyce, and there are still people joining, so I'd ask you just to bear with us. Be patient. We have a little visitor that needs to go away. Tracy Maxine Ferry, welcome. Okay, there are still people joining, I see. Okay, so nobody's given any comments to us. Let's have some words from you before we start. Let's kind of get a feel for everybody, how everybody's feeling about this COVID. Oh, there's lots of people still joining us. We're going to have to just give them a few more minutes. Okay. Okay, look, it's 11 o'clock. Is everybody happy to, shall we begin? I see Charmaine is on here. Charmaine, will you let me know?
Rabia, shall we give them until 5 past and then you can start?
Sure, let's do that. Let's do that. It's nice to see some of the faces. Some of you have your cameras on. That's great. We'd ask you just to turn your microphones off so that it doesn't interrupt the bandwidth. Tanya, hello. Zaleka. Norma Moyo, welcome. Oh, it's so good to see smiling faces for a change without this big thing in front of us, eh? Okay, Nikita, you've made a comment. You've said the overarching feeling for you at the moment is finding a new normal, and it's been rough balancing work and life. Yes, it can be. It can be at the moment. There is definitely a sense of the loss of what used to be normal for us. Has anyone found this is making it difficult to do your shopping or queuing? Anybody queuing to buy your groceries? Tanya's nodding her head. Thank you for that, Tanya. Tracy, welcome. We've got 2 Tracys. Been working at home. Okay, so Tracy, the question that was asked just as we're kind of preparing for people that are joining us, I put the question out there is how are people finding the current situation, you know, waiting on COVID to disappear and the threat, the anxiety, or maybe just the peace of being at home on lockdown. How are you all finding it? Let's have a look if anybody else has said. Martia, Storpioli, we have to learn to smile with our eyes. Oh, that is so beautiful. Yes, we do. We do have to learn to smile with our eyes. Anissa says she's a little nervous. I think the impact is yet to be felt. Suddenly now 4 people in my circle of friends that have been tested positive. So I'm a little nervous. Isn't it amazing how someone around you tests positive and suddenly it becomes very real for you? Until then, you know, it's just talk and it's videos and you swing from feeling anxious to feeling, it's just a conspiracy. How many of you heard of those, right? Welcome to the academic head for the IMM, Angela Bouvet, welcome. Okay, we did say we'd wait a few minutes. I think while we're waiting for everybody to join, and some people are answering the question, how we're all feeling about the current situation, the current normal that we're getting accustomed to. I'm just enjoying seeing these faces. As I said, it's great to be able to see the smiles and the full facial features and the expressions. I kind of miss those. Okay. Monoda, welcome. Michelle M, I'm just so anxious about my kids going back to school, even though they are doing online at the moment. Oh, I hear you. I'm sure a lot of us can identify with that. That's so relatable. Anxiety about the kids going back to school. Because if they're out of sight, then you can't protect them. You can't keep them safe. Amina Esak, welcome. Salam. Thomas, welcome. Hello. If you feel more comfortable with your cameras off, that's okay. If you want to turn your cameras on and we can see your smiles, that's good too. Farawat, welcome. Adrian Sivan. Good time to start. Great. Okay, so we're going to start. The topic for the day is from fearful to fabulous. From fear to fabulous. And I started off by, while we were waiting, asking people how they're feeling about this COVID. Some of you have mentioned, some of you haven't. Tracy said something. We went back to school for one day. Mohammed says, sadly, nothing will ever be the same again. I wonder about that. We remain positive and shape up to the new world. Hello, Adele. So firstly, as we get started, I want to thank the IMM Graduate School for approaching me to do this talk, From Fear to Fabulous. It's part of their Mind, Body, Soul initiative. I think it's so important that a tertiary learning institution has extended their hearts and their minds to people out there, students, parents. Still feels unreal, absolutely, Adrian, to just offer some emotional support. You know, psychology sometimes is seen as a very soft skill, as something possibly of non-importance, and yet it's becoming increasingly important to build our emotional and our intellectual ability to withstand the difficult times that we're living at this moment of time. So we had a really great time doing something in Durban this time last year, but of course we weren't dealing with COVID. It's a real pleasure to be asked to go deeper in the subject. I'd ask you, Gordon, welcome. Please turn off your mic. Thank you so much. These are challenging times we're living through. So the last few months have tested our resilience, looking at the messages that people have typed in here. And the resilience is being tested on very many different levels, from business to relationships, social interaction. It's all been put under pressure. Please, can I ask you, Minoda, turn off your camera? I mean, your microphone. Sorry, leave your cameras on. We want to see all your faces. We're living in almost like a post-COVID world. Doesn't it feel like there was a pre-COVID and now there's a post-COVID? We're in this, and it's still a in-between time because we're not sure what the world is going to look like on the other side of this. The world is changing, definitely. Gordon, I'd ask you to turn off your camera, please. Thank you so much. So we're going to be about 30 to 40 minutes. We're going to cover a few aspects of fear, anxiety, goal setting. We're going to look at things from a different perspective, an emotional, a psychosocial. We're going to look at all of the NLP areas of life. So there's 7 areas of life that I'd like you to kind of think about, these areas of your life as we go forward. So maybe think about your home, think about your spirituality, your health, think about relationships and the social side of things, think about business, finances, and family. So why am I talking to you today? What makes me qualified, so to speak, to address the topic? Well, I've got a couple of decades, going almost to 30 now, of accumulated experience in providing psychological counseling, life coaching, and complementary health support across many walks of life, to many people from many walks of life, from the salt of the earth people, some celebrities, some prominent members of society. And no matter who you're dealing with, the common thread through all of us is this is a time of anxiety. It's a time of uncertainty. And although I don't have all the answers, nobody has all the answers except God, however you see God, I get to share with you today a little bit of the things that have helped the people that I am helping, a bit of the things that have helped me in addressing the changes that are going through and the anxiety that they're going through. I hope you find this inspiring. I hope it's going to motivate you to be consistent and to diligently work on your professional and personal goals. So my walk, to paint a picture for you, my walk in helping people started with a 9-year-old boy. A 9-year-old little boy that I was doing counseling for, and he set alight the curtains of the counseling room that we were in. He brought matches in with him. I was talking to him, didn't realize he was doing this, and he set alight the curtains. He came from a township. He was going through severe sexual emotional abuse at the time. He didn't want it getting out because of the shame, and he didn't want to live. So he said, I'm going to tell you the truth, but then I'm going to kill us both so that I don't have to live with this truth anymore. The hopelessness, the fear, the anxiety of something like that of thinking that his world was going to change, and he was terrified of what was going to happen. You might not be able to relate to that, but you may relate to another case of losing someone that you love. I remember working with Dr. Abel, a member of the royal family in Angola. His entire family had come out here, and the wife was murdered. And the two small children, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, found their mom's body. It took a year to get over the fear, the feeling unsafe. The world is an unsafe place at the moment. So there's times in our life like now where we want to put everything on hold. We want to stop the bus. We want to go back to the way the world was. And it's so difficult to do because we can't live the way that we were before. And for many of us, we're thinking it's never going to get better. It's never going to change, or it's never going to be the same. And I want to encourage you that it may not be the same, but it might just be that it's going to get better. Many of us want to wake up. We want to wake up to the news that it's all over. We don't have to wear a mask. We don't have to stand on lines in the ground. We don't have to not see the smiles and the facial expressions of the people around us. It's tough. It's difficult. You can drop us a comment if you want to share about how you're feeling at the time. That's perfectly okay. It's okay at the moment to feel whatever you're feeling, because it's normal. It's normal. We're caught in a whirlwind at this point in time. Some of us have been tested for COVID-19. I've been tested, and thank goodness it was negative. But some of us have been tested for COVID-19. And I think just knowing that you have to be tested already produces so much anxiety and so much fear in the human psyche. And so you go through the stage, you're going to be tested. How bad is this going to be? Am I going to be positive? Am I going to be negative? You wait. Maybe you don't sleep while you're waiting for those results. And then the test result comes back and maybe you're positive. And what happens if you're positive? The second stage is you start wondering, who else have I given it to? Who have I been in touch with? Goodness, is someone out there like in real danger, or am I in real danger? And as the days go by and you're sitting in quarantine, you're starting to assess and look at every single tiny little symptom, because you've seen so much, you've heard so much, you've read so much about what's going on with COVID-19. If this is you, if you've tested positive, I want to start off by giving you a little bit of advice from my experience with clients who've tested positive as a life coach, but also as an alternative health practitioner. I want to say, number one, do the necessary. So what is the necessary? Supplementation. Some of the things that I recommend, if I could ask you to turn your microphones off. There we go. Some of the things that you can do, certainly in terms of doing the necessary, is taking vitamin C, taking zinc, things like golden seal and artemisia. These are tinctures that you can take as well. Vitamin D is fantastic to keep your immune system strong. And of course, kalunji, whether you're taking the kalunji oil or the kalunji seeds, those work great. Kalunji is the black seed, so black seed oil. There's been some great experiments out there. If you're suffering tremendously from anxiety, I'd encourage you to take something like a CBD oil to get you through this. The second thing I recommend is to breathe through it. And we're going to talk a little bit about breathing as we go down through this little talk. Take time, number 3, to reconnect with spirit. Whatever you do that reconnects you with spirit, whether it's praying, whether it's meditating, take time to reconnect. And in that reconnecting, give thanks. It's a great time to give thanks, because it could be worse. You could be feeling worse. So give thanks. Number 4 is to exercise. Stay mobile. You know, you can't feel depressed when you're exercising and you've got these endorphins going. And technology is great, but there's so many apps out there that help us. So, as we said, it feels like the world is gone. And in a way, it may be gone, but it's not really. It's actually under pressure to change. And that change can be a blessing, even if we don't see it right now. Fear and anxiety at the moment is everywhere, and it spills over to our lives, to our relationships. But look, we deal with fear and anxiety and stress on the ongoing anyway, don't we? I mean, think about it. You're moving house, there's stress. You're moving job, there's stress. You're in a relationship, out of a relationship, new job, current job. There's always going to be some level of stress and anxiety. So we are actually hardwired to deal with stress and anxiety, excuse me. So how does the physiology of anxiety actually work? Physiologically, anxiety is not supposed to break us. It's supposed to protect us. It's supposed to ensure our survival. How does it do it? Well, our kidneys have things called adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys, and they produce two main hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. So those of you who know about the stress response, what happens if you're in a situation, maybe a hijacking that's about to happen, or you get a big fright? What happens to you? What is it that you're wanting to do? Let's see from someone. What is the response, do you think? What's your immediate reaction? I see some people typing. Okay. Nobody? All right. Well, there's one of three reactions that you will have. Normally, people talk about the two, the fight or the flight. You want to fight, you want to attack, you want to protect yourself, or you want to flight, you want to run away. But there's a third one, and that is freeze. You can freeze, you can stay put. And how many of us are frozen in terms of pursuing our goals or growing the business because we just want to wait until things change? We just want to wait because the anxiety is ongoing. It's not something that lets up. Those adrenal glands are continuously supplying adrenaline and cortisol to the body. What happens when the body is got adrenaline and cortisol in it? What happens is the immune system is on hold. So if you're trying to get over COVID and you're giving into anxiety, your immune system is not at its best to actually deal with what you're dealing with at the moment. It's how you respond to the anxiety. Whether you're choosing the fight, whether you're choosing the flight, whether you're choosing to freeze, it actually is a choice. But these times of anxiety, these can be our breakthrough points. These can be our moments of metamorphosis. We can either be so focused on what's going around the world and feeding our minds with all of the negativity that is out there, or we can start to say, let me use this energy, let me use this as a challenge to see what else is out there for me. Now, I'm not talking about positive thinking. Positive thinking is a moment in time. You can tell yourself that it's sunny outside all day long, but if you go out and it's raining, you're going to get wet. So positive thinking is one thing. I'm talking about disciplining the mind towards your goals through consistency, through action, understanding what makes your internal programming work. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to learn a little bit about how to use it and using it for yourself. Attitude, your state is not determined by positive thinking. State is more than just the way you're thinking. It's the language you speak to yourself. It's the language you speak to other people. It's the things you choose to focus on. If you're focusing on solutions, now is a time to build. I mean, if you think of how COVID has affected economies, isn't this a great time if you've got some money lying around? Isn't it a great time to invest in property, for example? The opportunities are out there, but sometimes we get so bogged down by the anxiety, the fear, that we can't see through to the positivity that can come out of it. We don't use this to fuel us as a challenge. We use it to just sit down and either become apathetic and do nothing, or to just become so wrapped up in fear that we pull back, we rewind all these things that we've been trying to work on, all the goals that we're trying to work on. The fears are valid. We understand that it's real. But the greatest thing that stops us is ourselves. Conditions are never going to be right. The conditions are never going to be right for you to take the next step in your goal. It's never going to be the right time to leave a toxic situation, for example. It's never going to be the right time to start a business. Yes, you can hedge your bets by planning. Of course, you have to. But your state is going to inform your strategy. The way you're feeling and the way you're perceiving the world is going to inform your strategy. There's a couple of books. I'm sure you've read quite a few that can help you. And maybe if you're comfortable doing that, you could list a few there. But I'm going to give you a few that you could look at from a financial perspective, but also from a mental perspective. There's, a few greats out there. Robert Kiyosaki and his Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a basic. Simon Sinek, he wrote Find Your Why. Or look at Tony Robbins. He wrote a book called Unleashing the Giant Within, tapping into your personal power. Warren Buffett, again, from a financial and a business perspective, he wrote Top Rules in Success. He's written books on investment. David Schwartz, he wrote The Magic of Thinking Big. All of these things are challenging us to do what? To change, to metamorphosize. And the metamorphosis is triggered by a threshold of some kind. You can all, I'm sure, think about a time where you just couldn't go on. There was a time in your life somewhere, and I'd like you to just think back on it now. You don't have to close your eyes. If you want to, you can. But think about a time in your life where you were so pushed to the limit that you said, I just can't go on. I can't go on. I give up. What actually pushed you through that? Something changed. Something made you realize this is a ceiling. This is something I can't push past. And something made you move through it. So number one, you were probably aware of the fact that you couldn't go on. You had an awareness that your mindset or your situation needed to change. And then you started doing something. It wasn't enough to say, I've hit a ceiling, I can't go on. You actually started doing something about it. You didn't do it once. You kept doing it consistently. Maybe you needed to lose weight. And maybe your trigger moment was walking past a window and looking at the reflection in the shop window and saying, who is that? That's not me. And you said, I've got to do something about this. I don't like what I'm seeing. And so it didn't help to just eat salad for one day. If only. If you've ever battled with weight, it takes consistent action to get things going. You may need to take that big thing and break it down into smaller actions, bite-sized pieces. And there's a wealth of information in terms of how to create a strategy, how to build a strategy. The IMM Graduate School is a tertiary learning institution for those of you who don't know it, and they specialize in business, in supply chain, in marketing. So there's massive amounts of knowledge, up-to-date knowledge that can help you to build your strategies. But if it doesn't start here, then you're not going to see the possibilities that you would otherwise see if you were feeling more in control, if you were more selective of what you're feeding your mind. We need to be able to set a goal as though it's already happened. Why do we need to do that? Because our brain it's a mental program. It's a program that you either follow along blindly or you rewrite. If you follow it along blindly, then you are being programmed by the environment around you and the situations. And when you go online, you are going to be flooded wherever you go, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, you're going to be flooded by information that you are not safe. The message, you are not safe. You are going to die if you catch this. And the fear can prevent you from moving forward more than the virus itself, because over 80% of people actually survive from this virus, recover from this virus. 25% of people who catch this virus are completely asymptomatic. They feel nothing. They have nothing. There's no fever, there's no cough, but then you get the other percent that really, and those differ throughout the world, that really take strain, and eventually those who perish from it. But to change your attitude to this whole existence that we're in at the moment requires continuous action like visualization. It's the consistency, the discipline, the active. Those are the things that are going to get through us, that are going to help us to get through this. Okay, so some example of goals, personal goals that you can use. A couple of personal goals that you can use, that you can turn into mantras for yourself, or or things that you repeat to yourself all the time in order to change the reticular activating system in your brain. I'm creating wealth and abundance. I have a business worth, and you take that from your strategy, XYZ. I'm fit and healthy, and I love taking care of myself. I'm capable. I seek out knowledge. I seek out opportunities, and they come to me. You can create vision boards. You can set up for yourself a power hour. I just want to demonstrate for you the power of the reticular activating system. If you don't believe me that it's a program, if you'd like to close your eyes, if you're not on camera, I'd invite you to just close your eyes and put your hand out. And I want you to imagine that on your hand, I have placed a lemon. It's a big, juicy, fat lemon. It's magnificent. It's one of those lemons that makes you feel like you're in Europe immediately. I want you to bring that lemon to your nose. And I want you to remember when you had lemonade, oh, that lemon is going to make such fantastic lemonade. You know how great it tastes on fish. You know how wonderful it smells when it's in a perfume or in a cream. That lemony fragrance. Who of you, by show of hands, if you're on the camera, raise your hand, can actually feel your mouth starting to salivate for the lemon? Or you remember, thank you so much. Thank you for those who've put your hands up. You can remember it. Why? Because the brain does not know the difference between what it perceives internally and what it sees outside of you. And this is why it's so important to feed yourself the right information, because what the eye sees, the brain perceives, the body receives, and it shifts and changes your energy, your state. And that new mindset creates doorways to feed your goals. It helps you to find more creative things that you could be doing. And maybe now you want to go and research your business in a different way, because suddenly it thought, oh, hang on, there's this new technology, or maybe there's something I haven't tried, because you have shifted your perspective. And that mind shift has enabled you to see outside of the box. So what is occupying your mind and your time? Social media. What are you looking at on social media? You can be filled with the COVID blues at the moment. You don't have to be. Another thing you can do to help you to stay focused on your goals, and that helps you to reprogram your mind, is breath work, breathing exercises. Now, we all come from different walks of life, so there may be breathing exercises that you have as part of your religion or as part of your exercise. But I want to talk to you about the Iceman. Does anyone know the Iceman? Have you heard of the Iceman? Show of hands over here. Anyone heard of the Iceman? Okay, 2 of you. Right, the Iceman. Who is the Iceman? His name is Wim Hof. Here's a man who is at the moment 61. He lives up on a mountain. He ran a half marathon above the Arctic Circle. He ran this marathon above the Arctic Circle on his own. Impressive, right? Yeah, more impressive when you realize he did it barefoot, and he did it wearing only shorts. In fact, he's climbed most of the tallest mountains in the world barefoot and wearing just shorts. Because he's realized that when the body pushes itself, when the mind pushes itself to great discomfort, it reaches a breaking point, and it reaches a threshold where you shift your energy from what's not possible to potential solutions. You know, when he was 60, Wim Hof decided that he's going to spend 1 minute in ice water up to his neck for every year of his life. Now, science says that 10 minutes in ice water and your body shuts down. He spent 60 minutes in that water, and he succeeded. He actually had universities doing a study with him. There was a university specifically that did a study to show how the immune system in the body changes with the focus of the mind. And so he teaches it. And you can go and learn this. You can download the Wim Hof app, for example, and you can start small with breathing exercises to help you. So breath work is important. And to boot, you now have your lungs being benefited with the breathing exercises. So breath work helps you to focus and to shift your focus. How do you stop negative reality from affecting your mindset? Practice, practice, practice. Consistency in shifting your attention. If you're going through a divorce, I've had ladies come through and they're going through a divorce, either because of a life change or abuse or whatever the case is. They're going through a divorce and it keeps playing in your mind because it's a post-traumatic stress response to play over and over and over and over in your mind. The things that happen, what he said, what she said, what they did. How do they break away from it? They are present in that moment. And we teach them to say, be present, acknowledge that this is how you're feeling. And now, deliberately shift your attention. It's not ignoring, but it's shifting your attention. So that subconsciously you've got stuff that subconsciously you will deal with things. Your reticular activating system is going to kick in and it's going to start finding solutions. So physiologically and neurologically, we are geared for challenges. When you change your physicality, when you move around, you change your negative thoughts. So there's physicality as well as breath work. The exercise. Have you ever tried to hunch yourself up and be really kind of depressed and down and laugh? It doesn't work. Or the opposite. Stand up straight and, breathe deep and look out into the world and then try to be depressed. You can't, because as soon as you allow fear, anxiety, depression in, your whole body caves in on itself. Your physiology changes. So similarly, when you change your physiology, you are triggering that part of your brain that finds solutions for you. Have you ever tried quitting smoking? Who's tried to quit smoking? I'm sure some of you have tried to quit smoking. Did you know it takes at least 30 attempts to quit smoking? Many people give up after the second or the third. They figure, oh, this isn't working. So they try the patch, this isn't working. And then they try to use crutches to maybe that'll work. It's fine. Use stuff that might help you, but keep trying, because if one thing doesn't work, the next one will. You've all read stories of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Colonel Sanders and how many attempts it took them to break through. The situation we're living in right now, the anxiety that we are facing every single day, it's going to take time for us to break through a negative pattern of thinking or an inability to face things and to actually focus on the goals. So COVID-19 can be the best thing that ever happened to your business or to your relationships, to your physique or to your diet, because you're being forced to focus on your diet. You're being forced to supplement. I want to encourage you to start a journal, carry a notebook with you. And in that notebook, I'd encourage you to write your goals, the goals that you have for yourself. If you have a business strategy, pull out the outcomes, the goals that you've set for yourself, and carry them with you and read them often, repeatedly, consistently. Remind yourself of why you are doing this. Go back and read the book by Simon Sinek, Find Your Why. It's eye-opening. When you have a why, a reason to do things, things get easier. You get more creative. We're at a moment in time where technology is advancing faster than it ever has. From universities to businesses, people are moving from doors to desks. It can be soul destroying if you've had a store, for example. You're in retail and you've had a store and it's been your lifeblood and you've worked on it all your life. It's taken you years to build and you're sitting for 3 months and that store is closed. That door is closed. That anxiety, that fear can be soul destroying. Don't let it. Find the alternative. Technology is there. It's all about what you're filtering in, what you're allowing into you. And keep consistently changing your framework and back that up with action. Act. You want to change things. You want to go online. Find out how. Get the tools. Learn. Upskill yourself. Take the time to metamorphosize from a caterpillar into a butterfly. As Muhammad Ali said, this is not the time to count your days. This is when you make the days count. It's not just talk. It's not positive thinking. It's action. It's learning about what makes you tick and deciding what you want to have in your life. Shift your focus. Feed your body, your mind, your thought life, your spirituality. That which is going to get you towards your goals. I'm going to open up for a few questions at the moment. If anybody would like to share some experiences or ask questions, if not for yourself, for other people, that's also fine. I see here, let's look at some of the comments. Myself and my 9-year-old both have comorbidities, and my main concern is how to keep her grounded and stress-free, not having seen family or friends for 3 months now. That's sad. That's difficult. She has anxiety and stresses about way too many things on the whole, but being home is impacting on her. How do I help her and my family while I am working from home? Firstly, I want to say to you, I take my hat off to you, because working from home and trying to manage a home and your work and your child is stressful. The stress of COVID-19 is getting closer to home as family and friends are found to be positive. Firstly, I want to say, use technology. We can't see our friends. We can't go and see them personally, but we can definitely use what we're doing today. We can reach out to one another. We can consistently phone. Make it a priority, perhaps, that she knows that on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, or maybe every day at a certain time, that's when Granny phones, or that's when I phone Granny, or that's when I phone Auntie or Uncle. That's when I speak, because it creates a pattern, and that pattern creates a sense of comfort for her. Other things that you can build in, we've spoken about the breath work. Make it something fun, breath work. Make exercise something fun. Children need structure. So by structuring things, this time we're doing this, at that time we're doing that. Build it into your work so that, yes, you know it's going to happen at that time. So for now, this is mommy's time, or this is daddy's time. This is the time when we are working on business, and it's coming. So she knows. She's 9-year-old, or he's 9-year-old, and they know that that time is coming up. Let's have a look at any questions. Fight or flight? Yes, Nikita, you answered. Thank you, Michael. Fight or flight? Run away? Fight or flight? Which fight or flight? Fight or flight? But how many of us are frozen? Culverwell, calm down and give away whatever they want to get. Give away whatever they want to get. Culverwell, can you just give us a bit more on that? I'm not sure where you're going on that one. Nazi, I have started reading The Power of the Now by Eckhart Tolle, Learning to Accept the Now. Absolutely. It is a powerful book, and it's the best time to read it is now. You know, they say, and it's so cliched, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, all we have is now. Or they talk about canceled checks. We do have now. And we can use the now to build the tomorrow, but not if we're focusing on all the negative stuff. We've got to have a solution-centered approach. How many of you have staff members maybe? And it's just negative all the time, negative, negative, negative. How about saying, you know, I recognize the negativity. Let's try to turn it into something constructive. Give me the negativity. Let me hear that negativity. But let me hear what's a possible solution from you. Otherwise, all we're doing is complaining. Complaining doesn't give us any results. Culverwell, it was a response to what would be one's reaction when getting robbed. Yes, trying to stay soft, trying to stay safe. Calm down and give away whatever they want. Yes, so you would freeze, in other words. You're getting robbed. I think that's a very valid reaction. I remember being in an attempted hijacking myself. I was driving home from work one day many years ago, and I stopped at a robot. There was about 4 or 5 cars in front of me, and there was lots of cars all the way behind me. And I had stopped where there was a little side road, and suddenly there was a face at my window. And I thought, it's just someone coming to either beg or trying to sell you something at a robot. So I just did this. I didn't pay attention. I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't centered and present in the moment. So I looked and I just kind of shooed them away. And next thing, a gun came in my window. And at the same time, someone appeared on my right. And in my reaction was to freeze. But thankfully, it worked in my favor because I froze in such a way that I let go of the clutch and I let go of the accelerator. And my car just moved forward and banged into the car in front of me. It bought me time. So here's a comment from Mohammed. There are so much of conspiracy theories out there and multiple messages that we receive on social media. Don't you think that all these messages and posts should be approached with caution? We cannot altogether ignore everything. Absolutely. This is why I said, I agree with you 100%. That's why I said be selective. I don't say ignore everything because we do need to know what's going on. But be selective. You can go and look at the stats for the day, and you can go and look at what new treatment options are out there. Or you can go and look up videos of how many people have died and this one talking on their deathbed and, how these, how intubation works and how many weeks you need to lay immobile and how much weight is lost. And social media is going to try to feed you more of the negativity. Why? Because that's what gets more clicks. And so if that's what gets more clicks, that's what goes up and up and up and up on the list of things to see. So we've got to become responsible with what we are seeing, what we are reading, what we give our attention to. Look at how much divorce, how much domestic violence has happened in these lockdown times because people are not used to being in a confined situation. And so they lash out. And this is an important part of anxiety. Anxiety does not always present as fear. Anxiety can present as irritation. It can present as frustration. It can present as anger. It can present as a feeling of discomfort. It can present as insomnia. And so we take something for a symptom. You can't sleep, so you take a tablet. You're feeling stressed, so you take an anxiety medication. Get to the root cause. The root cause is what you are feeding your mind and what you are feeding your body. Change that consistently. Shift your focus back to the goals that you have. Focus on building those. And if your strategy needs to be changed, then now's the time to do it. So I want to say thank you to everyone. I don't want to go too much further unless you have any questions. I'll be around to answer questions. You can find me, Rabia Carvalho, on social media. You can find me online. You can find me through the IMM Graduate School. So if you have any questions, I'll be here for a few minutes to answer those. And I just want to say thank you all for attending. And I really hope that you'll be able to take this in and internalize it. Nausea, negativity, such a loss of work, which has become my reality 2 weeks ago. But I shifted my focus, congratulations, to what's going well for me, such as my studies with the IMM, my family, my husband, my beautiful kids, my health, my family, my friends. I count my blessings every day instead of focusing on the negative. 100%, 100%. While you are doing that, you are actually rewiring your brain. You're rewiring your reticular activating system to look for solutions. It's fantastic, Noisy. Tanya, can you give us a little bit more info on the breathing exercise you mentioned? Yes, I can, absolutely. I can actually demonstrate it for you, the beginner's exercise, because I do these myself. So here we go. How many of you want to do this? You can join me in it. You would take a deep breath in and a breath out. You don't need to breathe until, it's down to your stomach, but take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. And you do 15 of those. You take a deep breath in and you take a deep breath out. Once you've done 15 deep breaths in and out, you now are going to hold your breath for the count of 15. And every day you're going to stretch that to 30 or to 40. The very next in-breath you take, you're going to take it in. You're going to hold on to it as long as you can to fill your lungs. What that does is it gets your red blood cells fired up. And it triggers your immune system. Try that again. I see someone here trying it. Lungile. Wonderful. Yes, 15 in-breaths, 1 in, 1 out. When you stop, exhale completely and hold your breath for 15 seconds. At your very next in-breath, take it in and hold it in for the count of 15. Next day, you will do 20. The next day, you'll do 30. The next day, you'll keep going until you can hold your breath for 2 minutes. And then you breathe normally. Allow your heart rate to normalize. Allow your body to normalize. Look up the app, Wim Hof's app, or go onto his website. You'll find others. There's lots of breathing exercise through physiotherapists as well. Michael, Marcia, thank you. You're so welcome. Anissa, thank you. We'll make a talk available. Thank you, Charmaine. This was uplifting. Maxine, such great tips. You're so welcome. Shukran, Afwan, Nosh, much appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Anywhere we can download. Yes, Charmaine has said the video would be uploaded. So there it is. Mohammed, thank you very much. Thank you. All these thanks. Well, I want to say thank you to you. It's been an honor serving you today. And I look forward to meeting some of you out there. And I really hope, don't let this be just for today. Don't let this be just for today. Consistent action. Let's get it done. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.